Every legend starts somewhere.
Not with perfection, but with the decision.
The decision to show up, work harder, and believe this place can change everything.
At Northeast, you're more than just a number.
We're built on opportunity, and our students are willing to rise to the occasion.
Here, success isn't handed to you. It's earned.
You don't just leave with a degree, you leave as a legend.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Well, one of the best parts about Mississippi Live Weather is you're not chained down to a television. Welcome to Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I mentioned that because it's a little warm outside, but you get in the shade, it's not bad. This time of year, you know how humid it is. Maybe just take this thing on the porch to watch this broadcast. I think certainly if I could take it outside, that's where I'd be at this point in time as well. Check out this forecast over the course of the next couple of hours here. Looking absolutely beautiful as those temperatures down to around 80 degrees and in many cases feeling like 80 degrees. So again, not cool, but nowhere near as sticky as we have been of late. Looking at 75 degrees by 10, 72 as we look toward 1 o'clock in the morning, 71 by 4 a.m. And clear skies out in Houston, the way things are for a lot of locations. But we're talking in Mississippi Live News about what's going on one county to the east of Houston. Of course, that would be there in Monroe County. Emily Leonard joining us for kind of a preview of the news. I know, even as a guy who looks at maps all day long, I'm like, hold on, that is right. Yeah, one county east there.
Yeah, I had to make sure East Monroe County. Yes, we're talking about Monroe County because just in a couple of days from now, Monroe County is going to be holding the first ever State of the Schools or State of the Education event. They're bringing in Aberdeen, Amory, Nettleton, the Monroe County schools, district leaders, superintendents, bringing them all in to discuss the state of education there in Monroe County. They also have a couple more events planned throughout the fall, some really big events, really trying to get their community together, which when they say Monroe County strong, they really do mean it. So we'll talk about those events coming up in a few minutes.
Okay, looking forward to that, Emily, coming up with Mississippi Live News here in a couple minutes. Outside right now in Macon, on our Fastnet camera, it is 88 degrees. I think behind the scenes, I accidentally skipped past the one I really wanted to show you. Macon at 88, that dew point 73, still feels like it's in the upper 90s there, but check out Greenville, and I promise this is not a mistake. It is 81 and feels like 86. Man, I have no jealousy, I promise, none at all. But those high clouds are going to make for a pretty sunset as well. So, okay, I'm completely lying. Appreciate our folks there at the North Mississippi Storm Chasers. Mostly clear in New Albany. 90 the temperature right now with winds that remain fairly light at about 5 miles per hour or so. That dew point, that measure of moisture, only 63. So it's 90 and feels like 90. Simple thought. Mother Nature, God, can we get a little more of this, please? We're on the right side of the front because when you're on the north side of a stalled front like what we have out there, you're on the dry side, and dry means less storms. And it's important because we are going to have more storms. Came off a weekend where it was stormy and obviously had pretty significant winds in quite a few spots. Now going into this week, we're going to have additional wind and storm chances. We had them down in South Mississippi earlier today. Still severe thunderstorm watch for some locations within the last hour. Finally canceled out down there at the coast. Not much upstream to the north and west, though there are some showers back into Oklahoma. That's an important thing to point out because with our pattern as it is, a lot of times we look for storms back this direction to slide in complexes. And our projections, in particular our Storm Finder, which we're going to have coming up here in a couple minutes for you, does have a few of these back into Oklahoma and Arkansas, getting strong to severe when they get closer to us, I think, by early tomorrow morning. Most of that threat is to the west of us, let's be clear, but it's not an impossibility to get a few that are heavier back in the far, far western part of the state. So looking here at our futurecast, 10 p.m., no issues there. Not much out there. Watch as we go toward midnight, 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning. It takes till probably maybe 3 a.m. for storms in the middle part of Arkansas to get going. Now, those will gradually work their way eastward here, and you'll notice out for locations from Greenville back up northward there close to Clarksdale, that a few of those are a little bit heavier and maybe strong to severe as they try to clip locations closer to, say, Vicksburg and maybe Jackson there by early tomorrow. This is less aggressive than our storm finder will be when I show it to you here in a moment. That one does have, I think, a few more of these possibly somewhat strong to severe. A lot of lightning with those, and certainly disruptive for your morning commute if that's the way that plays out. Over the next 24 hours, we're going to be about 71 at 6 a.m. tomorrow. That rain coverage will say 20%. It's going to be right at the Mississippi, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana state line, Arklamis back in the western part of the state. Most likely 78 by 9 a.m. or 86 by noon and 91 degrees tomorrow afternoon. Still run a little below normal for this time of the year with a few isolated showers and storms. A much better chance for those by your Wednesday, where severe weather looks like more of a likelihood. I think some damaging winds, isolated hail, both definitely possible as we look toward that time period. We're going to track the timing on that specifically for you coming up here in just a couple of minutes. But in 60 seconds, our Emily Leonard's back on Mississippi Live News. You're watching here at 6. We thank you so much for your support. We'll be right back.
In 1998, we needed help with the loan. Some friends of ours had been using First Choice Bank. First Choice has been helping us ever since.
We just love the service. The tellers are wonderful. They know our names. Why would we want to bank anywhere else?
March 24th, 2023 was a normal Friday. You know, we knew the weather was not good, but we needed to take shelter, and we didn't have shelter. My husband and almost 2-year-old daughter, Ethan and Riley, they did lose their lives in the storm. We're still recovering from it. We'll always be recovering from it. Matt Lawpon cares about the community. He's not just there to collect a paycheck. I feel like Matt Lawpon has proven himself trustworthy.
I'm serious, man. I actually got better when I'm lying. It just helps me focus. It just helps me focus, you know?
Hello, everyone. Good evening to you. Happy Monday, and thank you so much for joining us here on Mississippi Live. I'm Emily Leonard. Grab your hard hats, y'all. We're getting a look at TVA's new power plant near Caledonia. It's about 25% done and still on track to open in May 2028. Once finished, this $800 million plant will add 500 megawatts to the power grid. That's enough to power about 250,000 homes. TVA's Benny Foshi says the plant can quickly ramp up during bad weather or peak demand, helping prevent outages like the ones that we saw back in January, thanks to that ice storm. Keeps coming up, right? Local leaders say it's also a big draw for industry. Link CEO Meryl Fizzackerly says companies want reliable power before they will commit to building here. Monroe County school leaders are coming together for the first ever State of Education event. It's set for August 26th, just a couple days from now, 7:45 in the morning to 9 at the Gilmore Community Conference Center. Superintendents and district leaders from Aberdeen, Amory, Monroe County, and Nettleton are all going to be sharing updates. Some of these people are in their first or second year on the job, so they're new. RSVP through Monroe County Chamber of Commerce's website, gomonroe.org. By the way, this kicks off a series of community forums, including a state of healthcare event. That's September the 23rd, so mark your calendars for that. And a college and career showcase is happening October 22nd at the Armory and is expected to draw in about 800 students or more. It's a big one. Lots happening in Monroe County. You can scan that QR code there in the corner of your screen to read more on all of these events and what's going on there in Monroe County. A new art exhibit is opening at Itawamba Community College. I think you're going to like this one. Becoming Butterflies, Lovely Ladybugs, and Heavenly Honeybees, featuring paintings by Tupelo artist William Hurd. Hurd discovered painting through art therapy after a 2000 car accident left him with a spinal cord injury and quadriplegia. Hurd also founded Our Artworks, a nonprofit that provides artistic opportunities for people with disabilities. This exhibit's on display now at the W.O. Benjamin Fine Arts Center on the Fulton campus from 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. It is free, and the paintings are for sale. They're beautiful. The exhibit's going to wrap up October 1st. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here on Mississippi Live. I'm Emily Leonard. Have a great night.
At Room to Room, our Labor Day sale is the real deal.
Half off prices plus an extra 10% off furniture, motion, and mattresses. Snag 20% off accessories plus 48 months special financing. Style your space and save big.
Only at Room to Room.
Reserve your St. Jude Dream Home giveaway ticket by August 28th, and you'll be eligible to win the house and the bonus prize, a 2026 Polaris Ranger, courtesy of Dream Day Foundation. Visit dreamhome.org or call to reserve your ticket today.
This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Laubheim.
Sunny and warm outside of our Mitchell Cunningham and Bowling camera in Tupelo. You're watching Mississippi Live here at 6 on what is honestly a pretty pleasant, still hot day. I mean, I'm not claiming it's cool, so don't mishear me here. But when that dew point is 63 and it actually feels like 90, you sweat and it cools you off. Your body works the way it's supposed to in that situation there. But it's nice to see. No precipitation this evening, but we have better chances, I think, on the way the next couple of days. 90 also in Pittsburgh, that sunny sky. And again, these thin, high cirrus clouds can make for a pretty sunset. If you don't have it, you need it. And if you do have it, you need to use it tonight. Make sure to send in those sunset pictures using the Mississippi Live app for iOS and Android devices. Again, free and available there, and the easiest way, again, to share those with us here back in our broadcast and get those on the air. We love to kind of showcase those whenever we can, for sure. Our Fastnet camera in Starkville right now coming in with, again, those high, thin clouds, 88. Feels like 95, so there's a little bit more stickiness when you get down there closer to the southern half of the area, simply because of a front that's draped overhead and still plenty of humidity and stickiness down south of that. We're 79 at 8 p.m., 11 p.m. looking at 73, 72 by 2 o'clock in the morning under what should be, again, a mix of clouds overnight. Not expecting a lot of overnight thunderstorms for the eastern part of the state, but definitely looking at rain chances for West Mississippi on the increase. Nothing out there on Mama Justice Doppler radar at this point in time right now, as you can see on kind of the local scan. But things could get going out into Arkansas. For that, we're going to look at the Storm Finder, which does, again, it's a Mississippi Live exclusive here, look at lightning in particular and storm chances. Now, you notice we don't show a lot of the purples out there. We're not talking high odds or high confidence, right? This is kind of confidence in storms developing. This is intensity if they do. So still somewhat a low confidence sort of event. All that, though, to say that this does show by 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, some areas of pretty decent lightning activity out in the Delta, becoming very significant, as you can see, by 8 a.m. But they have to develop in the first place for that to happen. Let's watch wider, and I want to show you that for a moment, because as we kind of re-rack this here and start this graphic over again, it just kind of says, boom, they're going to pop up there in the northern part of Arkansas, somewhere around 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. Both of our main projections, this being our strike model and our HRRR, have thunderstorms developing out at that point in time and do have them increasing in coverage here. It doesn't look quite as end of the world when you get wider on it. But I think they'll have a decent amount of lightning. This could slow down your morning commute for tomorrow if that ends up being the case. Meteorologist Maggie McCauley, of course, will have updates starting at 6:30 a.m. or earlier if necessary if storms are stronger. 6:37, 7:30 a.m. Those are our scheduled live broadcasts Monday through Friday here on Mississippi Live. Check Maggie out again for the latest there and what she'll have. There will probably be, again, some storms developing at that point in time. As we head there beyond that through the morning, those kind of move through, dissipate. It's one of the things that could limit overall high temperatures in some spots and just sporadic development maybe of some storms in tomorrow afternoon. We're just not particularly convinced. Now notice how you see more of a purplish sort of color showing up on here as we head toward your Wednesday. Confidence now increasing then on thunderstorms Wednesday afternoon into Wednesday evening, continuing to kind of develop. These might not initially look at it here, but those towers, the height on it, I have it kind of extruding out to give us an idea, to call our attention to where, again, some of the stronger storms are. And when you look on the wide shot here, those are about as tall as anything we have on the map on the wide shot. So a sign that some of these storms could be strong to severe, could have hail, could have some damaging winds potentially there as we go into your Wednesday afternoon to possibly Wednesday evening and night, kind of moving through and continuing to strengthen as they move toward the south and east. So we'll see if those can organize enough that they kick out some damaging wind in particular, maybe some hail. Not really looking like a tornado threat here. And some do kind of back build here, as you'll notice, trying to backbound the central Mississippi there through the first part of Thursday. By afternoon, really depends on the overnight stuff. If it lingers a little while longer, that then limits the Thursday afternoon storms. We're watching a front that's going to move through, and notice how the colors change to black there as the odds of seeing storms decrease into Friday. Some drier air moves in by the latter part of this week. So that is Storm Finder, kind of a rough look at what we could see. Let's look at typical way of looking at this on our traditional futurecast here, our HRRR. Notice through 10 p.m., not much out there, right? Let's widen it back, and again, we're looking to Arkansas. The last one projection we were showing you, the northern part of Arkansas in particular, where it had some of those thunderstorms developing. Notice we're pretty close here at a similar time. We go about 1 to 2 o'clock in the morning, right around Little Rock there. But here's why that's important. The little difference in the initiation, the starting of those thunderstorms, makes a big difference on where they land, right? So we know the winds aloft that we have are kind of coming from the northwest, right? Maybe a little more north-northwest. Okay, so watch as we advance this for a moment here, where this has some of the thunderstorms going over time. See how they go primarily south there, starting with that spawn point there back toward Little Rock. I'll go ahead and circle where that batch of storms started, right? It started back here, say Little Rock-ish. Okay, so by starting farther north on our strike model there, that then means, and farther north and east, that means that the storms get deeper in the Mississippi, and that's why on this particular projection, most stay into Arkansas. So the expectation is a few thunderstorms early tomorrow could potentially become strong to severe, most likely Arkansas, but if that develops a little farther north, like Strike has it, more of a chance that more of those spill over in the Mississippi. Either way, still fairly pleasant for lows tomorrow morning, despite that front overhead. Stickiness factor not too terribly bad. Belzona, Kosciuszko for Louisville, but still noticeable for all locations tomorrow. Upper 60s, the northern part of the state. Still pretty pleasant to begin the day. School bus forecast has us 71 at pickup. We're 91 degrees by drop-off. Rain coverage around 20% in the afternoon. Again, near the Mississippi Arkansas state line, that's where our rain chances are going to be the greatest, I think, earlier on in the day. Now, notice here on our futurecast, this still has some of those showers and thunderstorms still ongoing, but a lot weaker there by 9 to 10 o'clock in the morning for your Tuesday. As we head toward around noontime, mostly dry for most of us, still at that point in time. And then most of the rain chances back out into Arkansas as this red line here representing more humid air continues to move in, and we'll pick back up stickiness as we go into your Wednesday and to a certain extent your Thursday. So Tuesday, severe weather threat, no official one out there at this point in time. I do expect overnight we might see an expansion of a severe threat for locations in Delta for early tomorrow. And that could have an impact on high temperatures, maybe hold those down a little bit more than this, assuming we get that great a quantity of storms. That's something myself and our meteorologist Gabe Maynor will be looking at for our later broadcast later on this evening here as we kind of adjust that there. Heat indices up in the upper 90s, but again, not to extreme levels yet. So if we can clear out completely, get some sunshine, we'll get a little bit of heating, but it takes probably all the way into tomorrow evening to get a few storms developing here in the northern part of the state. Again, we're not thinking that's going to be a super impressive coverage of storms, but a few of those, again, close to that front, kind of Tupelo, 45 corridor there to the east. But this is overnight into early pre-dawn hours of Wednesday morning. And most of what we see, again, below severe limits for your overnight hours into early Wednesday. We're not that far removed from some storms that are a little heavier up to the north, as you can see, closer to Savannah, Tennessee. But there aren't a ton around the region. At least not at that point, but more in the afternoon on the way, as we talked about. Highs mid-70s to maybe low 70s out there. Tupelo, Amory, Houston, all coming in around 72 degrees for Wednesday morning, which is slightly above our normal and slightly below what we've typically had of late. Lower 90s for some, upper 80s near the Tennessee state line, but that Red Bay number there, a sign that the stickiness has come back up, because even there, the heat index about 95, 106 Belzona, 107 Greenville as we look toward your Wednesday afternoon, setting the stage for another chance for storms, possibly some strong to severe. Possibly this threat, I think, needs to be extended farther east. This is one of those graphics we put together that the Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma puts out. We try to usually respect their boundaries and then give you our opinion on how we expect it to change. I expect this to probably expand eastward and include all locations based kind of on what we're looking at here on Futurecast. Now notice 9, 10 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, not much, right? Even through noontime. By that point in time, though, the southerly winds bringing up more moisture, and you're going to see a difference here between this version of Futurecast and what we were talking about a moment ago, looking at Strike, where we have, again, a few isolated storms there, 2 o'clock, but then by 3 p.m., this kind of batch here that we have developing right there along the 55 corridor, maybe a little bit east, Water Valley to Holly Springs. That's where if you get a cluster going like this, that can kind of hold together, it can pick up steam, and those are the scenarios where we start to get some of those damaging wind gusts, 60, 65 miles per hour. So it does show kind of a corridor there along our front, because a lot of times a front like this will act as what we call an instability axis, where there's just extra fuel for it to work off of. And so that'll continue to try to keep enough fuel around to get thunderstorms going and progressing eastward into the afternoon to early evening on your Wednesday. So that is something we expect to continue into Wednesday evening and Wednesday night, becoming more plentiful, 8 to 9 o'clock, and continuing to work their way eastward, where you get beneath the heaviest of these, some hail, some gusty winds. Not a tornado threat, though, at least not based on what we're looking at now. Typically, these aren't. The only time a setup like this ends up with a tornado threat is if the wind going into it's just the right angle. Don't really think we have that here. And there's no upper level support, really. So I would say this is primarily going to be, again, wind and maybe some hailstones. As we go through midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, still some storms regenerating around here for early Thursday. But behind a front that approaches, there's going to be less humid air. I mean, you can see a contrast here. A lot of clouds, a lot of storms ahead, and not as many behind. So some improvement there as that frontal system eventually rolls into the area and keeps the majority of the rain and storm chances to our south and east as we go toward Thursday. Now, again, this could be underdoing those just a little bit. But yeah, at this point in time here, we're hoping Friday's drier, and that means a lot of our games this week for Friday football, including our Mississippi Live Game of the Week, will be looking drier as well. Again, still soliciting those opportunities, and let us know if you want us to try to come to your community for that. So our risk on Thursday, not an official one at this point, but one could be necessary as we get closer. Highs on Thursday expected to be somewhere in the lower to middle 90s. Hottest in the Delta, but heat indices might get a little bit better, I think, as we look toward Friday and behind that drier air. And I also think we're a little aggressive here on our low temperature Friday morning, especially Saturday. I think 60s out there for Saturday morning seems like a reasonable expectation for some spots. Not everybody, but some spots. Normal low this time of year is around 70, so that shouldn't be too terribly shocking. As we look toward next week, some rain and storm chances again back there, some mid-90s back as, again, heat and hot and all that sort of stuff we've had late still remains in place because it's summer after all. We're still here in the August. And as we get in the latter part of this week, I think, again, the storm chances, that remains one of the big headlines. And we'll try to answer some questions related to that coming up here in 60 seconds as Mississippi Live continues here right after this.
When I look at all these success stories, I cannot help but think it all started by getting my high school diploma.
When you graduate, they graduate. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you.
For years, it's been the same formula. If it bleeds, it leads. You deserve better. We are Mississippi Live. We're focused on the stories that matter to you, to your community, to your family, because local matters. We are Mississippi Live.
I have been going to Tupelo Smiles my whole life. When I was a kid, I was unhappy about some uneven coloring on my teeth after getting my braces off, which at the time there really wasn't a fix. I was recently made aware of a solution that would totally fix it, which is exactly what we did. They not only heard my concerns, but they never stopped looking to solve my problem, and that's why I love Tupelo Smiles.
Welcome back to Mississippi Live here at 6. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopon. I figured we throw in some triple threat. I haven't really done that today. Let's get the chat up. Again, a lot of folks want to say hi this evening and hello to everybody out there for, again, supporting us once again here. We're looking again at Jason and everybody. Thank you for having you on tonight. And everybody doing all right out there, and glad to see from Talbot County and all across the area there joining us again this evening. Let's hit some triple threat here real quick. And this is kind of the early version. Gabe will have a more complete look at this coming up later. But triple threat allows us, again, as a Mississippi Live exclusive, to put on rotation, wind damage potential, and hail potential all on one graphic here. Again, something you'll find only on Mississippi Live. This is triple threat. And, you know, kind of looking at those three threats, one thing it does have, again, we had a lot of lightning on Stormfighter. It was depicting in the Delta. This does not have much in the way of wind damage occurring from that overnight chance. So maybe this was the one we should have spent a little more time on, as opposed to the, again, it's disruptive weather we expect to see out of tomorrow morning. Certainly one of those factors there, but thankfully triple threat not showing as much. Now, looking toward Wednesday, and this is an important distinction there. Wednesday is more of a significant chance for us to see some severe weather. And this does show, as we were talking about, a little bit of rotation potentially out of those storms. Rotation out of storms and produce tornadoes are two completely different things. So let's, you know, be clear about that here for a moment. So notice how this has, again, some thunderstorms move through Thursday afternoon. Some little stripes of red on there. In this case, I would say rotation working to help keep the storms organized, keep them around a little longer. But it does have some patches there, like north of Oxford toward Coffeyville here, where maybe they get organized enough to kick out a couple of strong wind gusts. That is not every storm, but that is some storms. The majority of that activity should be out of here by early Thursday morning. So on the wider shot, you will notice, again, none of this is extreme. None of this is high. But it's possible to get sporadic reports, a couple reports of wind damage out of this. And considering vulnerabilities coming off the ice storm, who has a bingo sheet at home on that? If you don't have a bingo sheet on, did Matt mention ice storm today? We need to get that done, because ultimately that continues to be one of the issues there. I'm going to bring Emily back in here as we look ahead toward news later on tonight. Very rarely does my wife actually think I'm funny, but she LOL'd a little bit on that there on the bingo sheet, because it probably, I mean, and I think, you know, do you get like double points when you mention it in something and I mention something in the same show?
Well, if anybody was paying attention, they'll notice that I did mention January's ice storm.
But was that today? Or was that 5? Was that 5 or 6? It was 6. It was because you're talking about the turbine plant.
I was talking about the turbine plant near Caledonia, because they're hoping that it'll help beat the power outages, quote, like we saw in January. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
I will say this on January and the power outages. You know, a lot of that was local infrastructure, not necessarily generation capability. You know, a lot of times when we have power generation issues, it tends to be, again, when it's extremely cold, but maybe not all the power outages we had. So thankfully, it's not a day-to-day issue, and thankful that they're working on that issue, though. Preparing for those days where we all need it, right? When it's really, really hot or really, really cold.
Right. It's always those extremes, really hot, really cold. So I think if I mention it and you mention it, somebody gets some sort of like that star in the middle of the bingo sheet, the freebie or something, like they get an extra one of those. I don't know. But yeah, we do tend to mention it a lot for good reason. I mean,
yeah.
We're going to be dealing with this
for a few years.
Okay. So I'm sure you want to talk about what's coming up at 9 and 10. The CC Augustus Pool in Tupelo. It has been a hot topic, if you will. A lot of people want the pool to come back. They want to stay. They want to keep it. But the cost of it is very expensive. The city council is looking at it, trying to crunch some numbers. So we'll talk about that. Also coming up at 10 o'clock tonight, some ambulance services down in Oktibbeha County. The county switched. Starkville did not. So we'll tell you a little bit about who is going with what company and why. coming up at 10.
Okay, looking forward to that. Again, Mississippi Live News tonight at 10. And you can like, subscribe, follow to make sure to watch that, whether it's YouTube, whether it's here on Roku, Apple TV, Fire TV, and in the apps, all a zillion different ways to watch us there. And so thankful that you guys do. I was going to let you say thank you.
Very thankful. Well, no, really and truly, thank you. We really do appreciate it. And we're glad you're here. I mean, honestly, we like to hang out with you guys.
It's kind of a good community. So we do watch all the folks there in the comments, and appreciate Danny for commenting just a second ago, and all of you guys out there. Our next live broadcast is going to be coming up here tonight at 9 and 10 o'clock. Gabe is back, because we all miss Gabe, as if you didn't get to see him this weekend alongside our Caleb Battle Blue. But Gabe will be back tonight, again, looking at those storm chances coming up later this week on Mississippi Live News tonight at 9 and 10. But until then, thank you so much for watching. Get those St. Jude Dream Home tickets, as they are starting to run low. Your opportunity to win a $725,000 house is starting to slip away, and you've only got a couple of days if you want to win that Polaris Ranger by the Dream Day Foundation. You can win both. You can win one or the other. And either way, you're entered for both, and that'd be awesome for sure. Okay, see you at 9:10. Have a good night.
At Vibe Aesthetics and Wellness, we believe confidence isn't just how you look, it's how you feel. From subtle, natural aesthetics to personalized wellness care, everything we do is intentional. This is beauty with purpose. At Vibe Men's Health, we take that same approach. We focus on what matters most: strength, energy, and performance. Built on real data, real medicine, and real results, we're here to help you look better, feel stronger, and live fully. Come vibe with us today.